Hi everyone, welcome to Cloud Made Easy. And today I'll be creating a complete Angular interview guide for you. This will be around 3 video where I will be discussing all interview questions and I will be showing related codes. Now little bit introduction of myself. I have 9 years experience in .NET and I am working as a full stack developer for past 5 years along with Angular and cloud technologies. Recently I have taken and attended few interviews and I have seen a lot of questions, lot of new questions, and in most of the interviews, since they are happening online, so interviewer is asking to share the screen and writing some code. So my intention is to show you the code along with the latest question. I'll try to answer those questions, so it will be a comprehensive guide for a full stack developer. So ideally the interview for beginners and moderate, but for the people who are working exclusively in Angular, React or Node.js, for them it might not be helpful, because for them the expectation is quite higher. But people who are having 5 to 6 years experience or 9-10 years as a full stack developer, they known Java or maybe PHP or .NET along with that, or Python along with that. If the expectation is to have Angular or React, for such kind of interview these videos will be helpful. So if I consider one video, it will be a very big one, so I will be trying to break down to 3 videos, and we'll discuss all possible questions regarding Angular and RxJS as well. And if you are working in Angular, but if you are not able to write code or able to answer the question, the probability of getting selection is very less. So before even going to interview, make sure that you go through all this video, and I will be giving this PDF down this video description. You can download it. And okay, best of luck for interview. So let's start the video. So the first question is advantage and disadvantage in Angular. So the advantages are it's a single page application, SPA. So normally we will have only one page, and every other component will be rendered on the first page. So that's called a single page application, and single page application is ideally lightweight. And then it has all version of TypeScript supported. So all recent version of TypeScript does support by Angular and Angular CLI. So by Angular CLI you can create project, module, pipes, component very quickly and efficient way. And I will discuss the Angular CLI commands. So then the dependency injection. So we can inject any service or any other dependent object inside our TypeScript class. And then we have RxJS support. So I will be making a video for RxJS. RxJS is reactive JavaScript library, which basically gives us many asynchronous method to call service asynchronously. So that's RxJS, and it has full support in Angular. And there I also we have all the ECMAScript, that's JavaScript standard. So ECMAScript 6 and onwards it's supported. So these are few advantages, and there are few disadvantages as well. So TypeScript and Angular codes are little complex. I mean the syntax are slightly complex to our traditional Java, PHP, .NET or Python. And also in Angular the community is small. So I mean we can't expect a large community of Java or .NET, right? So developer, in terms of in terms of also React community is huge, or Node community is huge. So compared to that, our support will be less in case of Angular. So that's what advantages and disadvantages. Then the next question is current Angular and Node.js version. So as of now, in 2021 April, the latest version of Angular is Angular 11, and Node.js version is 16, but the stable version, which is having long-term support for production, is 14. So Node.js is something where the Angular program basically runs. It's a transpiler for any of the Angular framework. So while I am talking about Angular, I will be mostly preferring to say Angular as a framework, not Angular as a library. It's not just a single library. It's like a framework where we can write or build anything. It might be a web application, it might be a mobile application, it might be something different. So that's what. Now the basic Angular CLI commands, though it is not frequently asked, but still it's good to know. And if you already have worked with Angular, so you might know everything. So the first one is how to install Angular CLI. So the command is npm install, then z for global, then angular cl angular slash at angular slash CLI. And how to create a project for the first time, so that is ng, then space new, then your project name. So it will create a project, and while creating a project it will ask whether you will add routing or spec file for testing or not. So then how to create a component, again ng generate component, then my component, your component name. And to run a project we normally use ng serve, and to build our project as artifact we use ng build. After that the artifact we can deploy it, and then to task start unit testing, Jasmine and Karma we use ng test. Okay, so coming back to the fourth question, which is an important question till now. So what is the project structure of Angular? So I have created a small project in Angular, and the structure is basically E2E. The first, you can see the name, under the name, project name, you have E2E. So as you can see, it is open as a folder structure, and I'm using Visual Studio Code. You may use other text editor like Sublime Text or any other text editor. So anyway, so the first one is E2E. So E2E is basically like for unit test, end-to-end unit testing, and SRC is a place where we used to have all the related component, HTML views, models, module, everything, all classes. It will be there inside of E2E. And then we have something called node modules. So node modules is nothing but the modules that are required to run an Angular project. And inside SRC you will be have your assets, where you will be having your JavaScript, CSS and other static files. And then you have environments, you have project icon as a fav icon, then the index HTML, which is the root page or the main page, and Polyfill TS is a place where you can set the browser compatibility. Style.scss is a master style sheet, so if you are changing anything, your entire application will be impacted. So that's what, like you have a gitignore file, that's a part of gitignore. You have angular.json, where you keep your Angular related project configuration, and you have package.json is actually holds the all information related to packages and with a version name. So that's what the project structure is. Now we'll go to fifth question, Angular component. So what is a basically Angular component? A component is basically a TypeScript class, consists of template, class and metadata. So as you can see the code, like we have an import statement. The basic import statement is Angular code, and we used component decorator, and inside that we have a selector, so selector name, and then the template URL. Now in this template URL you might have the template also. So if you are using template, then you can have your inline HTML inside template, and if it's a template URL, then you need to place it somewhere else. The HTML will be placed somewhere else, and then you are referring the style sheet, so which is nothing but the CSS. And then you can see the class which implements on init, then you have a constructor, then you have ng on init, which is basically a lifecycle hook. So that is a base structure of our component. And then the next important question is Angular. What is Angular module? So in Angular module, it's something, it's like it's a container which basically holds all application and application domain related data. So I mean you can see like Angular module, and inside Angular module, apart from the import statement, we have three important thing. We have declaration, we have imports, we have provider, and we have bootstrap. So the question will be asked, what is the thing that you will be declaring on the declarations? So answer is all reactive component and pipes, whatever you have created will be placed inside the declaration. And the next statement would be for imports. So other than these modules, so whatever uh, they are, I mean whatever supported modules present, that should be present inside the import statement. So it's like whatever they are present in Angular, if you need to use them, suppose I need to use them forms, so we use form module, right? So that's thing that will be there in the import part. And the next part is provider. So provider is, as of now the array is empty, but whatever services you are using, and that services will be present in the provider. And the bootstrap is the first component that will be fired. So whatever you have given in the bootstrap, that component will be fired when the application will run for the first time. So this question is normally asked. And then Angular services. So Angular services are basically a special type of TypeScript class which can use to call any RESTful API or service, and it is normally required to is injectable. And this is not mandatory, but normally why we are using injectable, so that it can be injected to any of the other services or any of the components. Okay, so then the one more important question is lifecycle hooks. So in Angular we have ng on changes, ng on init, ng do check, and then few of the ng after content on init, ng after content checked, and few other. Then the last one is ng on destroy. So I mean by default, once project gets started, gets loaded, or the constructor will fired. So constructor is not part of the Angular lifecycle hook, it's a part of our TypeScript class. So it's triggered first, then then the next is Angular ng on changes. So if there is any changes in input property of DOM, so this on changes get triggered. And ng on init is a place which basically fired once during the initialization of the components. So this, once these three fired, then we can explicitly call ng do check, so which will have the content child, view child, if we need to incorporate those things. So you can use other lifecycle hook. And ng on destroy is basically for cleanup activity. So once everything is done, we can destroy our components object. And also, I mean, if we are using observable, I will discuss observable in a separate video. We can unsubscribe those observable from ng on destroy. Okay, so these are the few lifecycle hooks, and the red mark you need to remember. Then what is the difference between constructor on ng on init? So the question will be asked like that, look, like since we have constructor, or if we have ng on init, why we need constructor? But also, like, people can ask, when we have a constructor, why we still have ng on init in place? So the answer would be like, ng on init is a lifecycle hook, where as a constructor is a TypeScript class flavor. So constructor is used called first, then ng on init. And normally what happen, we use constructor for dependency injection. So suppose if we want to call a service, we inject the service as a parameter of the constructor, and inside ng on init we used to call the service method. So that's what normally we do. And there is one more thing, that I mean, whatever if we want to read the query string from URL, and then if we want to check the view child data, then we use ng on init. So